المياه. لا توجد مؤسسة محلية بعد 4 سنوات من المواجهات توقفت بالكامل. كل المؤسسات تعمل بهذا القدر أو ذاك. مستوى تقديم الخدمات متراجع، عدد مرات وصول المياه للمواطنين أقل بكثير ما كان في السابق. يواجه المواطنين مشاكل في الحصول على كمية مياه كافية. لكن أعتقد بأن نحن في العام 97 بدأنا ببرنامج للامركزية، لامركزية إدارة المياه. هذا البرنامج كان مدعوم من الأصدقاء الألمان والهولنديين والبنك الدولي. أعتقد إنه هذا البرنامج هو اللي حمى مؤسسة المياه الآن وما خلاهاش تنهار. عندنا مثالين: المؤسسة العامة للكهرباء في اليمن هي مؤسسة مركزية، من أول يوم للأزمة سقطت المؤسسة وانتهت الكهرباء، وعلى الرغم من أنه في اليمن ما فيش أنهار جارية ولا بحيرات مياه عذبة، نحن نستخرج المياه من أعماق بعيدة تصل إلى 800 متر في بعض المناطق مثل صنعاء وعمران وغيرها، وبالتالي نحتاج إلى الطاقة. الكهرباء انتهت. على سبيل المثال في صنعاء لدينا 140 بئر، 80 بئر منها مربوطة بالكهرباء. هذه خرجت من أول يوم للأزمة، وبالتالي اضطروا الناس أنهم يعملوا جنريتورز وغيره يولدوا. فمع امتداد الأزمة بدأت أيضا المشتقات النفطية تشح من السوق وتكون غير موجودة. بدأوا الناس يحصلوا على بعد أن توقفت شركة النفط من تزويد المؤسسات بالوقود، بدأوا يحصلوا على وقود من السوق السوداء وبأسعار عالية، وأحيانا يكون مخلوط ومغشوش ويؤثر على المواد والمعدات. بالتأكيد عندما تنزلق البلدان إلى حرب، المشاكل الغير مباشرة ربما تكون أكثر من المشاكل المباشرة والقصف. كثير من مؤسسات المياه تواجه إشكالات كبيرة فيما يتعلق بالتحصيل. الموظفين لا يستلمون الرواتب من فترة طويلة، ولا تستطيع أن تقوم بالإجراءات الطبيعية في الفصل واتخاذ عقوبات ضد المشتركين لكي لا تضيف إلى معاناة المواطنين هم إضافي. مؤسساتنا ربما لم تكن قوية بالقدر الكافي، لكنها ما كانتش ضعيفة. كان مثلا على سبيل المثال كان عندهم مدخرات خلال الفترة الماضية هي اللي صرفوها من قطع غيار كانت في المخازن، من أيضا أموال كانت مجنبة لإهلاك الأصول والاستبدال، صرفوها خلال سنوات الحرب. ربما الآن كثير من الناس حتى في الحكومة كانوا يقولوا لنا بأنه أنتم طالما تجاوزتم السنتين الأولى إذا ما عاد صارش عندكم مشكلة. الحقيقي أنه المشكلة الآن بدأت، لأنه كل اللي كان موجود في السابق خلال 30 سنة الماضية من مدخرات مالية، من قطع غيار في المخازن، حتى من موظفين وكوادر مؤهلة، الكل اليوم المؤسسات بدون دعم. عدد الدعم للمنظمات الإنسانية، الصليب الأحمر واليونيسف والبنك الدولي وبقية الجهات.
Thank you very much, Tawfiq. I'm going to come to the audience in a minute to ask you this question, particularly development actors. I'd like to ask you what work, just ideas, things that you've done to help build resilience. Okay, so I'll come back to you in a minute. But to just pick up one point that Tawfiq mentioned, which is, I think, incredibly significant. The contrast between the collapse of the electricity, the very centralized electricity utility in Yemen, which was almost instant, versus the ability of the decentralized water and sanitation providers. So I think that's a key pointer. And for those of you who've worked on some of the more centralized countries, perhaps think about that. Okay, so does anybody want to give us an example of something that you think you've done as a development actor, or maybe a humanitarian actor, which has helped build the resilience of a utility anywhere in the MENA region?
Thank you very much. I will talk in Arabic. I think تدخلات البنك الدولي في اليمن من خلال شراكة متميزة مع منظمات الأمم المتحدة، اليونيسف، يونوبس، WHO، FAO، إلى آخره. هو مثال ممتاز في تصوري، لأنه استطعنا من خلال هذه التدخلات أن نعمل مع مؤسسات بشكل مباشر. استطعنا أن احنا نقدم الخدمات الأساسية في المرحلة الأولى عندما انهارت محطات المعالجة في 15 مدينة في اليمن. كوليرا انتشرت بشكل يعني غير مسبوق، غطت تقريبا 22 محافظة من 23 محافظة، تقريبا 99% من مساحة اليمن. وبالتالي هذا النموذج أعتقد أنه نموذج متميز. نحن الآن انتقلنا من مرحلة الاستجابة إلى مرحلة جديدة، وهو العمل مع المؤسسات المحلية بشكل مباشر. الآن المؤسسات المحلية هي من تقدم الخدمات بدعم من منظمة الأمم المتحدة اللي هم بيعملوا في الميدان. عندنا الآن مشروعين، مشروع الكوليرا ومشروع الدعم الحضري، ونحن بنعد الآن لمشروع لإعادة يعني وضع المؤسسات إلى ما كان قبل الحرب. وفي نماذج متميزة. عندنا مؤسسة إحدى المؤسسات التي استطاعت مش بس تحافظ على الخدمات وإنما تزيد من الخدمات، وبالذات مع تزايد عدد النازحين، وأعتقد المهندس توفيق ممكن يتكلم في هذا الجانب. مدينة تعز أيضا، المدينة التي كانت أكثر شحة قبل الأحداث، استطاعت المؤسسات المحلية وبدعم أيضا من المنظمات الدولية والحكومة أنهم يحافظوا على المصادر الشحيحة، رغم أن المدينة مقسومة قسمين، قسم مع يعني الحكومة والقسم الآخر مع الطرف الآخر الحوثيين والإنقلابيين. فهذه هي النموذج اللي ممكن نحن نتكلم عليه في هذه المرحلة. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naif. Great, some more examples. So while, take the mic to the back. And again, I'm trying to get examples from you. I encourage you to tell give short examples of things that you've done to build utility resilience, please.
Thank you so much. I'm Muna from United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS. I would like to elaborate on what Dr. Naif has said already about the intervention implemented in Yemen. And actually we are implementing the urban project, the wash sector interventions. I would like to thank Dr. Naif for the brief, and also to mention that these efforts that we are doing is we have all the innovation technologies included. So now, although we are buying new pumps, for example, for the utilities, but we're trying to have them like based on solar system or hybrid system. So we are implementing these humanitarian activities and projects, but also we're including all the innovative technologies, including the operation and maintenance and the spare parts, which will support the resilience of these interventions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was one towards the back of the room, and then I'll come back to you in a second.
Thank you very much. I want to give an example from Jordan. We have, of course, the Syrian refugees in the north of Jordan, and where we had a problem of wastewater generation by the camp and also adjacent community. So with the help of the UNICEF, we managed to have decentralized wastewater treatment plants. We have tried their 2 models, and we aimed also to help the local community in producing high quality of the treated wastewater to be used as a reused water for the further production. And that was really a win-win situation, because we have serviced the camp itself, we have protected the environment, and we had also some benefit to the local community that was funded by the UNICEF, thanks to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please just pass the mic forward. Yeah. And then I'm going to come back to the panel because I want to ask them a couple of questions, please.
Christine Werner from GIZ. I'm head of the GIZ water program in Yemen. And I think we have a very long history of cooperation with Yemen water utilities, and also gave them some support for this decentralization process, which fortunately I think has also very much contributed now to help them to survive in these very difficult situations. And from our point of view, it is really very important to continue giving them technical and financial assistance to survive in this situation, because they are the qualified and in charge organizations for maintaining public services in the water sector in this country. And we also undertook a damage assessment study with 23 of the cities in Yemen. You find the results in a stand upstairs in the exposition hall, and you can also get a copy on a soft copy if you want to. We will also put it on our website. And there's also part of this damage assessment study was also a resilience strategy report. We cooperated very closely with the Vice Minister, Taufik, and the LCs in this regard. And I think it would be very nice if the donor community, together with the local partners, we can continue to discuss how to implement the results of the study. And if you could take into consideration also this document, or if somebody is interested in, you can find it downstairs.
Thank you very much, Christina, and really that is a remarkable resource. I'll come back to you in a minute. So just a couple of points from that, this decentralization theme coming back a number of times, water reuse, but also, and I think this is really the key thing, that even in Yemen, post-crisis or in crisis is being treated as prior to crisis. So in other words, you've got to get, wherever you are, you need to improve resilience. Now, let me come back to the panel and ask Omar. Can you give us an example of ways that you've used to stop or reverse the rapid decline that we see in WSS services once a major crisis has hit? And having worked in places like Iraq and Syria, you're no stranger to these things.
Yeah, thanks, Dominique. And the example that comes to mind is a little bit different from Yemen, which is quite eccentric. And I'll go back to Syria, back in time, in 2015, during the infamous water cutoff in Aleppo city, that cut off a total population of nearly 2 million people from water. It started off with, Aleppo was divided into Eastern Aleppo, Western Aleppo. Eastern was under armed opposition groups. The government controlled the western part, so the armed opposition groups decided to cut off the water from Western Aleppo by intercepting the main pipeline. So, I mean, the source was under a different armed opposition group. It was full of factions. And in order to overcome that, of course, as a very first phase, the unsustainable, costly, inevitable, supply-driven emergency water response had to kick in, which is water trucking. And again, this is lost. I mean, this is money down the drain, but there's a human imperative. I mean, it's about saving lives, because otherwise the entire city would just collapse. And this cost an arm and a leg. I mean, it cost about $1 million per month, and we were trucking over the entire span. We trucked over 2 billion liters of water. And of course, we had to quickly shift gears because of, cost efficiencies. So we shifted gears into fuel provision once an agreement was struck between the two sides in order to operate the pumping stations, because the source was safe. We were able to serve a much broader segment of the community on both sides of the city, and that was a really cost-efficient intervention. Yet again, it was unsustainable, because that turns humanitarian/development actors into a gas station. I mean, that's all that you're doing. But right from up front, at point when we decided to launch the water trucking operation, we thought of the exit strategy. And the exit strategy was as follows. Aleppo City, originally, Aleppo City or Aleppo at large is provided by a single centralized water treatment facility over Assad Lake called Khafsa Water Treatment Facility. And it's located 90 kilometers off the city. That is how it is. And it feeds into pumping stations and so forth. So the source was safe and we were okay. But as a contingency plan, the city had about 120 groundwater wells that dipped into the first aquifer, groundwater. Due to the emergency and the overexploitation of the resource, we dried up aquifer number 1 and 2. It completely disappeared. So up front, we decided we're gonna go to strengthen the contingency sources in Aleppo. And the day we started trucking, we started developing nearly 100 more groundwater wells tapping into aquifer 3. And that ended about 1 year following the initial operation, because the cutoff lasted for more than 1 year. And that is what we really left behind. When I was leaving Syria, I said Aleppo will never ever go thirsty again, because we do have an inside source inside Aleppo that would provide the drinking water. Let aside that I'm not gonna dwell on that the drinking water source, the treatment facility was under ISIS that time, and they ended up cutting it off totally. So both Eastern Aleppo and Western Aleppo totally dried up, and it was those wells, thankfully, thank God we had completed it, and this is what actually saved the day. So sorry for prolonging, but I just had to explain the context. Thank you.
Great. So this is a real example of where, effectively, if I've understood right, the utility basically loses total market share, because you have to go over to a separate resilient source for at least a period of time before you start building back the utility. Yeah. So are there any examples from in the audience of things that you've worked on to stop that rapid decline or just provide humanitarian aid? Good examples of that. I can come back to you. Please.
An example from Palestine. I work for GVC as an Italian NGO, and actually in the last 5 years we managed to improve the water governance in order to stop doing summer after summer water tracking for unserved in communities, and consider this water tracking service as a normal provision of water service provided by the Palestinian Water Authority.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's a very good example. Anybody else want to bring an example? Michael, could I come to you then to give a specific example of something that you've done to at least stem decline and preferably reverse decline?
So I think the point that Omar was making is an incredibly important point. If we look at most urban areas within the Middle East, the infrastructure is really a monolithic system. There's single points of failure. For Aleppo, it's Al Hafsa. If we look at Hama, it's one main transmission line that comes in from 100 kilometers away from basically the upper reaches of a groundwater source near Lebanon. In 2013, this particular transmission line was damaged, cutting off 1.3 million people from access to water. Obviously, we started a water trucking program to start with, but in parallel, and this is the real significance